Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with the Battle Report. So, this is a game where I brought out my beast herds and was facing a Sylvan Elves army. Now, you've seen me play this opponent recently, and he had a similar list, not exactly the same, but at the time I was playing Kingdom of Equitaine. So let's wanted to see how the beast herds would do against it. So we rolled up for deployment type, and we're doing this diagonal deployment. We rolled up for secondary objectives, and it's those things where we each place a marker somewhere on the table, and both of our markers are kind of on the left side of the table. You'll see them in a little bit. My opponent got to choose who was deploying first, so he deployed first, deployed his whole army, and I got to set up in response to him. So starting on his right, he's got a unit of 15 dryads. He's got the matriarch in with him. I don't know her complete kit or anything. I know that she gives unit hatred, and she has something that gives them strength 5. So these guys, 2 attacks each with hatred strength 5 are really freaking tough. And I wanted to test them out this game, so I'll show you what I did in just a minute. Just next to them, he's got his Forest Prince, which is general, or maybe not the general. I don't. Anyway, Forest Prince. So he's got he's this 4 upward save. He's +2 strength, but he's that shapeshifter, so it gives him just better movement, a little better stats, but he can't join a unit. He had the same guy in our last game and used him pretty well. 2 units of Wild Huntsman, 6 each. Then he's got his 3 units of Sylvan Archers. They all have the black arrows, so they're strength 4 at short range and armor piercing at long range. There's 2 eagles behind him. Now, in with them somewhere, he's got a level 4 Lore of Life. And the kit I'm listing here is what he had in his last game, and I don't think it changed. So I think he has like a 5 upward save. He has the Mistwalker's Mirror, so he can jump between woods. He's got Dispel Scroll. He also has a lower. Excuse me, I apologize for yawning. He's got a level 1 or 2. Whatever their lore is for the Sylvan Elves, because I know he can do tree singing and stuff like that. So then next to them, he's got 2 units of Pathfinders. Now these guys were scouting, so when I deployed, I didn't know where they would be, and they have their choice of any of the different arrows. So these guys can shoot with poison, which makes them just brutal against my monsters, because my monsters rely on their toughness. They have no save or very little save, and that's bad. So, starting on the far left, I've got a Razor Tusk hiding behind that building. I've got 2 giants. Now, again, I put the giants down, and then my opponent put his guys where they are. I've got a chariot, unit of minotaurs. So I adjusted my list with minotaurs and the wild horns unit, in that instead of taking them with no upgrades, I gave an extra hand weapon each of them. I just find that is just too good to ignore. Initiative 4 instead of Initiative 3. It seemed that for the most of 8th edition, initiative just never really mattered, and in my game so far, it means everything. So I like the extra initiative, and plus having an extra attack is nothing to sneeze at. So Minotaurs have full command. They have the speed totem. You can look that up, the Black Wings totem. My Wildhorn unit has an extra hand weapon, full command. They've got the +1 attack, armor piercing 2 totem. My Battle Standard Bearer's in there. He's the one with the big yellow banner. He's carrying a totem. He's got a 3-up armor save, always strikes last, +1 strength on himself. So I've never yawned this much in a battle report. I'm sorry, guys. But so he has base strength 5, and he's got +1 strength because of his weapon and +1 strength because of the banner. So the BSB is pretty strong. Right next to him's a Beast Lord. This is the same kit I've been using with this guy. He's got a 2-up rerollable armor save. He's got the Eye of Dominance, so monstrous anything can only hit him on 6s. And then he's got a weapon where he gets to reroll ward wounds, and you have to reroll ward saves. I just really like that kit. The unit took the standard of discipline. And now I've got things scattered all in my backfield because I put them this way so that those Pathfinders could not deploy behind me. I mean, they're bad enough no matter where they are, but to get behind me and me not have any way of dealing with them would have just been awful. So I figure the Jabberwock can fly, so he can get back up in the action quickly. The Razor Gore or Razor Tusk, I really only need for redirecting purposes, so I think he can start off back a little bit. And my mage is somewhat vulnerable, but I think he's out of 30-inch range, so he's okay for now. Now, if you look in the very top right, I've got my Gortak. He's I put him to where those dryads can charge him very, very easily, and I did that because I think it would be very tempting for my opponent, and I think I win that. Um, Guy just has 6 attacks plus 7 attacks because he's frenzied. He probably gets Primal Fury off, Primal Instinct because he's leadership 10. He gets Thunderstomp. I think if they charge in there, they do some wounds. I think he gets 1 or 2 back from his own attacks, and after that first round of combat, when that Dryad unit no longer has hatred, I think he just wins it in the long run. It's risky, but I really wanted to try that out in this game just to see how that might work. I also have some ambushing units. I'm loving these 2 units of mongrels. I'm using men-at-arms for one of them. They have a banner so they can seize objectives. I'm just loving it. They're super cheap. I can ambush them and just put them right near an objective and just try to hide them and do that. Or they can take out war machines if I faced them. I've got 2 Briar Beasts. I'm using a really unusual model. It's one in the bottom left, and I'm using another one that's the Great Bale Taurus, but it's just something I had, so I'm using that. And then I have a Centaur character. I'm liking this guy too. I pay for the ambush upgrade. He steps on the board anywhere I want, and then he has the Impaler, which is a mobile bolt thrower that hits on with no modifiers whatsoever. It's only an 18-inch range, but because he can ambush, range doesn't really matter. He hits on a 3 no matter what, and it's a strength 6 bolt thrower. The downside is this guy ends up costing about 110 points, and he's got a 3-up armor save, 2 wounds, toughness 5. He's actually pretty vulnerable. So if I ambush on and use that bolt thrower, my opponent through magic or shooting probably could just kill him. And so it's a little bit risky. But I'm liking it. I take my 2 giants, I vanguard up like that. So I know he's going to get a chance to shoot at me, and then I should be able to charge him. I think that's about as good as I could hope for. So Sylvan Elves, of course, go first. He really moves very, very little. He charges this. This first round of I actually, at this point in the game, I'm thinking, I think I was a little too confident in this Gortak guy, because those guys get 2 attacks each, and the Matriarch's touching 2. So she has 3. So that's 12 attacks, rerolling to hit, hitting on 3s. So he's going to hit 10 or 11, and then he's going to wound on a third of them. He's going to just do a bunch of wounds to this guy. So it's got me a little bit nervous at this point. My plan was to throw a couple attacks at the Matriarch, so that in future rounds of combat, these guys will only be strength 4. And when it came to combat, I just forgot, which is just dumb. But, oh well. We go to shooting, and yeah, he's got a Hail of Doom arrow on his Battle Standard Bearer, and he's got 2 of his units of Sylvan archers shooting at my Wildhorn unit, and kills a bunch. I think he rolled a little bit above average, but for the most part, that unit can absorb it. All the poison shots go into 1 giant, and he gets 4 wounds. This guy only has 1 wound left. So, yeah, I'll get in. Okay, you'll see what happens later. So, then we go to combat. Yeah, he comes in here. He does 4 wounds to my guy. Made me really, really nervous. And I got 1 of them back. So now I've only taken 3 wounds. I kill, I want to say, 6 of his guys. So he has a charge and 4 wounds. I did 6 wounds. I win by 1. And he rolls an 8. And I'm thinking, I got this. I can't believe it. It worked. And then we looked up the stats on the Matriarch, and she is leadership 9, and they stick. Kind of a bummer. So we go to Beast Herds, turn 1. Overall, it looks like that. So if you've watched my last battle report, this Jabberwock does not want to get into a fight. I swear I'm this guy. I have this flank charge into the flank of that unit. I'm thinking, this is golden. Like, I think this works. I think this is it. And no, he failed the charge. Wildhorn unit. Oh, so my opponent has this eagle, and right as the game's starting, he drops him on the ground, and it doesn't even snap off at a joint. It just snaps. Kind of unfortunate. But and it's also unfortunate for this eagle because he's getting charged by that huge unit. And over here, so I charge with the giant on the right, and he flees. And so then he redirects to the unit on the left, and they do a stand and shoot, and they do nothing or maybe one wound, whatever. And so then, because he can't stand and shoot, I charge the other giant in. And in hindsight, I'm thinking, why? He had one wound left. You know these guys are going to be hitting first on twos. He just has to roll a single six, and that guy dies. So I think that was a mistake. But anyway, so I roll the charge distance, and the giant on the right rolls snake eyes, and fails it. Darn it. Darn it. I felt that was somewhat unfortunate. There's a unit of mongrels ambushing in from the left because those Pathfinders are sitting on one of the objectives. Yeah, there's the just. Mm. Let's see this Briar Beast. Briar Beast, you don't have to roll for. You just wake them up. As long as they can fit into a wood, you wake them up. So he wakes up right behind my opponent's lines. I love this. I mean, that has got to be just the biggest thorn in his side. I think once my opponents get used to playing against these units, they'll do little things differently. Like he could have put these guys at the back of the woods so that if I popped up, at least I'd be popping up in front of them. Um, so there's that. I wake this other guy up right there where you can see him out of line of sight of the Wild's Huntsman. In hindsight, oh, in hindsight, why didn't I wake him up in the portion of the woods directly in front of those Wild Huntsmen so they couldn't so he could redirect them right off the bat? I don't know because I'm dumb. Yeah, these guys roll at least 1/6 and kill the giant. And yeah, these guys. I think I'd have to look at the rules, but I think the Gore-Tech has 6 wounds, and yeah, they did 3 without hatred. He still had 12 attacks. Actually, probably 13 with the matriarch because I forgot to allocate attacks towards her. Um, 13 attacks, but no hatred, and he rolled 3 sixes. I felt that was somewhat unfortunate. So in hindsight, I don't know if I would do that again, but the guy is somewhat survivable. I think if I had the lore of nature and had the chance of regrowing wounds, I'd be tempted to do stuff like that. All right, so easily killed the eagle. And it was at this point where I'm realizing it might be wiser to start fielding these guys in bus formation instead of horde formation, because after combat, I can't reform. All I can do is pivot. And I'm so close, he's going to be able to triple charge me, and I'm really, 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 really wishing that I was in bus formation so my opponent could not get quite so many attacks in. Yeah, so there's his pivot after killing the Gore-Tech. We go to Sylvan Elves turn 2. Again, overall the board looks like that. Yeah, so his Dryads, I think they tried to charge the Jabberwock and failed. They certainly tried to charge something and failed. Yeah, 2 units of Wild Huntsman and his Forest Prince. The Forest Prince I'm not worried about this time because I'm just going to feed him a champion. I was tempted to get my Beast Lord in a challenge with him, but I want my Beast Lord just to kill as many of these Wild Huntsmen as possible this first round of combat. I'm going to lose this by a bunch. What I'm hoping is that when all's said and done, I've got both my characters and 3 guys left. If I do that, I'm steadfast because both these Wild Huntsman unit, they have free reform, and if you have free reform, you can't have ranks. And so if I just have 1 rank, I can be steadfast. So that means, he just needs to do 25 wounds or less. Let's see, over here he reforms all 3 of his archer units and shoots at the Chaos Spawn and easily kills them. And there's the dead pile after combat. And he did exactly 25 wounds. Actually, did a little bit more because in the challenge, his Forest Prince whooped up on my champion. I think I did 3 wounds to the left unit. No wounds to the rightmost unit. Well, that's because by the time I struck, I didn't have any. I only had 3 guys there, 3 guys there. So that didn't do any good. But he just obliterated this unit, right? But at this point, I'm thinking, I actually might have a chance. I think next round of combat, he kills those rank and file, but my Beast Lord will be in a champion that's Forest Prince. I've got a 2-up rerollable armor save with his strength 5. I'm at a 4-up rerollable. I don't see him doing 3 wounds to me. I've got 4 attacks, rerolling to hit, rerolling to wound, and he has to reroll his armor saves. I'm wounded on 2s. I think I have a really good chance I think I win that. I think in the long run, I have a really, really good chance of winning that now. Very, very excited. Yeah, so Over here, we charge the mongrels into the flank of that the Pathfinder unit, and then I charge the Razor Tusk into him. And the reason I did that was I was trying to get him. I was hoping he would stand and shoot against the Razor Tusk, not the Giant, and he did, and he killed him. Damn it! Stop. Yes, I know he had poison still. All right, so um, let's see. The Minotaurs charge the second eagle. It doesn't look like an eagle, but it is an eagle. And the Chaos Spawn and the Razor Tusk on the right charge the flank of this Wild Huntsman unit. I'm just I can't believe this worked. I think because I think I made a mistake allowing this unit to be 10 wide right in front of these guys and allow all those Wild Huntsmen to attack. But you know what? They were steadfast. Now I like my odds. I like my odds a lot. I really like my odds of these Minotaurs. I really like my odds here. Yeah, let's see this unit. This is my second unit of mongrel ambushers that just kind of, they're my back left, and they just kind of came on within 6 inches of that token, just securing that token for me. And holy crap, are you kidding me? So we get a challenge. The Forest Prince strikes first at my Beast Lord. He does 3 wounds. Fair enough. I got a 2-up rerollable armor save. It goes to a 4-up rerollable armor save. I fail all 3. I fail all 3. Beast Lord dies. So then he attacks my other guys, and I don't know what he does. Something. And ends up, by the time it was my turn to attack, the Chaos Spawn was out of combat because he lost just 1 guy. So the Chaos Spawn couldn't attack. The Razor Tusk just kind of fluffed his attacks, and I end up losing combat and broke. Like, what the hell? My Battle Standard Bearer broke. Oh my gosh! I still like my position. I liked what I had. Didn't work. All right, this worked. It worked rather nicely. So the mongrels are going to stay on that token, and just that token is worth, as long as I have more tokens than my opponent, it's worth 500 points. So that's kind of nice. We go to Sylvan Elves, turn 3. This is where things, it's kind of interesting. So, because I lost combat on my turn, he gets to, do what he did and then charge. So, one thing he did was he jumped from his unit with both of his mages from one forest to this one. He basically moved into the forest and then jumped. And I'm kicking myself because I had a chariot facing this forest this whole game so that if he did this, he'd have to take a chariot charge. And I just had moved the chariot to go help out with that combat just in case the combo Razor Tusk Chaos Spawn didn't quite work. And I turn my back and boom, he pops in there. I was a little bit mad at myself. That's a couple times this game that I had a strategy and then I forgot about it. So he charges a Forest Prince into the flank and the Wild Huntsman to the rear of these Minotaurs. I'm thinking this is a huge mistake. I don't know if he's doing this just kind of having fun because maybe didn't want to just dance around the rest of the game, and I can appreciate that. But when I saw this, I'm like, ooh, I like it. Bring it, because you're going to do some wounds. You're going to kill some Minotaurs. I'm going to have a ton of attacks. I have 5 attacks each with these guys, possibly re-rolling to hit, certainly wounding on 2s, and then I'll have 2 stomp attacks on his Forest Prince. So, yeah, I like my odds there. These guys charge my my caster. I haven't said much about this guy. He's a level 2 Lore of Death, and I was out of because I used him to try to make sure his Pathfinders couldn't get behind me. He was out of range for spells, so he didn't do much all game except get charged there, and of course he lost. And okay, so I was wrong again. So my Minotaurs kill the Wild Huntsman, but the Forest Prince, and I did 2 wounds to the Forest Prince. I was really surprised. I put 10 attacks on him plus 2 stomps, and I couldn't kill the guy. Anyway, he won combat. He had a charge, a flank, whatever wounds he did. I don't know how much he won by, and thank goodness he couldn't run down the Minotaurs, because obviously that would be huge. We go to Beast Herds, turn 3. The Minotaurs rally. Thank you very much. Now I turn my chariot around, and then I bring my giant back around, and now this unit is kind of messed. So he can he can jump him away to another woods and just get out of there, in which case he gives me the 500 points for the token, um, or try to figure something else out. He had turned his dryads around and was messing around with them doing something else, and I had the Jabberwock behind him, and I'm like, the Jabberwock is not designed to do much in combat, but let's see, it's a rear charge. So I charge in. I've got a charge. I've got a rear. It's actually a +3 bonus for the rear because I count as a rank. And his guys did so many wounds to me, 4 wounds, that it was an epic fail. Okay. So yeah. So this is Sylvan Elves turn 4, I think. He charged in with his Forest Prince and a unit of Sylvan Archers, and that I think he was just messing around but my guys just slaughtered. I got 10 wounds on the Archers, and I still couldn't kill the stupid Forest Prince. But we broke him from combat and ran him down. If you look at the bottom left, that unit of Archers with both of his spellcasters charged my Mongrels, and I just fled. I fled off the board, but what that means is now I got a giant and a chariot charging that unit. I think I'm gonna crush them, get all those points. There'll only be 1 unit on the board near a token, and it's my unit, so I've got 500 points for that. So I liked how that worked out. So we kind of looked at the board, and even though it's only the end of, or the halfway through turn 4, my opponent's like, he had another game lined up. He's like, let's just call it here. He had 1 depleted unit of Wild Huntsman. I think there's 3 of those guys left, and I think everything else is dead on his point. On his side. So it ended up being a real fun game. I made some mistakes early on. My opponent made some mistakes. We're still doing that, but I think if you notice all my games recently, there's not a lot of sloppiness. There's a little bit of sloppiness going on, but that's because we're not playing this as if it's a tournament game yet. We're just kind of saying, hey, let's test some things out. Like, I wonder what this would look like if your Dryads charge my Gortak, So we're trying, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, we're willing to take chances in the game just to test things out so that when it does matter, we know. So anyway, that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. I truly hope you enjoyed it. As you know, YouTube has a variety of functions you can use to interact with videos such as this. You can like or comment on the video, you can favorite it, you can share it, and of course you can subscribe to the channel. And I encourage you to do any or all of those things as a way of interacting between viewer and producer. As always, I appreciate your patronage on the channel and wish you all the best.